Hi, welcome to the Dance Years. I'm Dave Pearce, and tonight we're going back to 1998. That was the year that the beats got bigger and Ibiza seemed like the most popular place in the universe. We'll also be hearing from Roger Sanchez on the programme, and I'll be playing my top 10 tunes of the year.
Now these, are you ready? Now these, are you ready? Now these are the sounds of the wickedness. Now these, are you ready? Now these, are you ready? Now these are the sounds of the wickedness.
My number 10 track is a cheeky little number that was guaranteed to put a smile on your face. Here's Zant and Sounds of the Wickedness.
Now these are the sounds of the wickedness. Musical bliss kids, we're gonna give it to you like this.
Sounds of the Wickedness by Zant is an everything but the kitchen sink, and possibly including the kitchen sink tune. It's got every gimmick and gadget you could throw into a piece of music to jolly people up. The crowd's roaring. I think it might even have whistles in. I can't recall, but it's an everything and the kitchen sink tune.
Sounds of the wickedness. 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 Go, go, go. Sounds of the wickedness. Go, go, go. Sounds of the wickedness. Sounds of the wickedness. Sounds of the wickedness.
Zant, Sounds of the Wickedness, just a classic tune for me. The MC who was rapping on it, a guy called Marcus, he was such a star, you know, and we did all these TVs, we did like Top the Pops and Pepsi Chart Show when it was in the charts, and he kind of just did this thing where he jumped up in the air and did the splits. He was like a bit of a James Brown character, you know, and just his rapping on that, you know, now these are the sounds of the wickedness, musical bliss, because let me give it to you like this, and you know, it's just quality. And I think from the time I had it on white label, you just know sometimes when you got a tune, the first people you kind of play it to at radio. And I remember playing it to Kiss and Radio 1, and as soon as they got the white label, sort of got straight on it.
Sounds of the wickedness, 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 sounds of the wickedness. Now these are the sounds of the wickedness, musical bliss kids, we're gonna give it to you like this. Now these are the sounds of the wickedness, musical bliss kids, we're gonna give it to you like this.
A good, happy, upbeat, joyful breakbeat record. Not very inventive, but then again, not rude, not impolite in any way, just a nice summary sing-along a record. However, it did get on your tits after about 10 listens to it. It was on the breakfast show every fucking morning. And I was like, you know, you wake up in the morning to, I don't know, Radio 1, and it's being played. I think it was doing it with Zoe Ball or something like that. And she's going, yeah, I love this record, it's great. And I was like, no, not again, please.
By 1998, the Big Beat sound had scored a number of chart entries, fusing hip-hop style samples and breakbeats. Big Beat quickly found its audience among the student crowd.
Big Beat is fundamentally a breakbeat sound. It's how I perceive it. It's more a student sound than a mainstream clubbing sound. Probably fueled more by a drinking lager crowd rather than people that use illicit substances.
I think 125 BPM is a good speed to dance to, but sometimes you just get bored of a kick drum. And I think that's really what it came out of, it's just trying to get that energy, but make it a little looser, a bit funkier and a bit more violent, you know, not just so predictable.
It was really, for me, a very exciting time that tried to take on board a lot of different influences and come up with something new and exciting and danceable and, of course, sellable.
What I think is funny about Big Beat is that it's the one genre that people hate to say. For some reason, it's like saying the word rave.
Big Beat is much slandered these days, and quite rightly so, because it became, again, a cliche very fast. It's jolly good fun. I mean, it's student hip-hop without lyrics. It's big, bouncing beats. Someone like the Wise Guys with their Ooh La La, which was on a certain advertisement, and Norman Cook, his various pieces he put out.
For me, it didn't have any funk or soulfulness to it. it was music for students with no soul to jump around to in their student discos.
It became a sound that hip people became sick of, but it seemed the public couldn't get enough of it for a little while there. And it's very enjoyable. It has no airs and graces. It just does what it does and thumps along. I think its time has probably gone, but hell, it was fun while it lasted.
At number 9, it's another big beat influence record created by British hip-hop DJ, DJ Touche. Now, he wanted to come up with the ultimate party record, and I think he succeeded, really. Here's the Wise Guys and Ooh La La.
Ooh La La is something that I wrote because I knew people who were DJs who were into my tunes, but they weren't playing my tunes in their sets, they were playing them when they got home, and I'm not into all that sort of chill-out music nonsense. So I thought, right, you lot, I'm going to make a tune that you're going to have to play. You're not going to have a choice, you're going to have to play it, and I'm going to be able to play it in my sets, and at the end of my sets, so that I can be a big tart and wave my hands about, and you lot are going to have to play it. And that was all it was. That's why at the very end of the tune it goes, and you don't know me yet, because I was going, watch your back, basically, because the guy who made the kind of mellow Executive Suite album is coming with his gloves off, basically, and it kind of just, it was only really meant for like a handful of DJs who I kind of saw as friends, but like friendly competitors, as it were, and myself, and it kind of, it took on a life of its own, really, and blew up.
Turn it out, without a doubt. They turn it out, without a doubt. They turn it out, without a doubt.
I was fine about you being used in the Bud ad because it had already been out, you see, and it had already sort of had some success in Clubland, and it had gotten into sort of 50-something in the charts, you know, and for me that in itself was amazing, and it was never intended. So I thought, well, that tune's done its thing, it's run its course, so if someone wants to use it in an ad, whatever. And Budweiser didn't have like a track record of breaking, you know, hit tunes like Levi's do, say. So I was like, well, that'll be that, and that's, I'll hear no more about it. But I was very wrong.
With the emergence of the big beat sound, Brighton burst onto the dance scene as clubbers flocked to the Big Beat Boutique.
I think the Boutique, out of all the clubs I've played, it's sort of become my home. And I sort of became the ringleader for a bunch of yobs and reprobates to not take dance music quite as seriously as they had been.
It happened in my head about in 1995, and really it was a place where people could go to hear a wide range of beats, an eclectic session where people could go and listen to DJs, not just playing any one type of genre of music, but they had the freedom to play any type of genre of music.
I've always had a kind of interesting relationship with Brighton. I've always been sort of fiercely sort of pro-Brighton. With Beats International records, we used to write Made in Brighton written on the back because the studio was down here and everyone assumed that you had to go to London to go to a recording studio.
It's got great going out culture. People go out a lot, you see the same faces, it's friendly, big groups of people all know each other. So that has obviously got to attribute to a club atmosphere.
It's all about the people who are going to be there, and at the boutique there's always really good friends there, and obviously they always get, you know, really quality DJs down there. And there's always lots of big bottles of vodka and orange juice knocking about.
The club has a jolly edge. It's not serious. It's girls and boys having fun. It's not a strip your top off men's hard head down club. It's a laugh.
I think the good thing about the Boutique was that because I play there almost every other week, it's not a kind of hero thing. It's just, you know, me playing, everyone gets up on stage with me. And I really like that. I used to spend half the time telling the bouncers to let people on stage while they were trying to throw them off, having mock fights with the bouncers.
It's just a friendly, happy place, a very bouncy, smiley place. I mean, we don't have a dress code, for instance. It's like, you know, any shape, any size, attitude, smiling face. you're in.
People who run the boutique are very conscious of keeping it a good giggle, and I trust it will remain so.
After stints as Beats International, Freak Power and Pizza Man, Norman Cook finally settled on the name of Fatboy Slim and created this little beauty, which was huge at his boutique nights. Here it is, Rockefeller Skank.
Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, about now, about now, about now.
Rockefeller Skank, I think, is the only tune I've done where I knew it was a hit. I think I'm always wrong. The ones that I think people really like, I normally don't. And the ones that are sort of a B-side or something normally end up being a hit. But that was one tune when we finished it, and then Simon, my engineer, just looked at each other and went, bloody hell, that sounds all right. And I think, again, it's sort of kind of, it's got a goofiness, but it's quite a hardcore production, but with a really catchy, goofy kind of hook. I did like the fact that really cool people liked it, because it was quite bubblegummy, but sort of really, you know, producers I really respect and rate would come up and go, oh, I really like that Rockefeller Skank. Arthur Baker played it to Noel Gallagher around his house one day. He said, cool, you've got to check this one out. That's praise indeed, isn't it? The best boutique moment ever for me was when I just finished Rockefeller Skank and I put it on and just the whole place went ballistic. And I was just like 2 foot in the air. And for some reason, everyone seemed to know. I sort of put it on and everyone was like, oh, like this. And then I was going, it's my new one. And everyone was sort of cheering and they're all singing along, which I realise now it's quite not difficult once you've heard the hook. But I was like, I even know the words. And I famously, I was so kind of chuffed. I was just standing there watching everyone go bonkers. And I just walked into the wall at the back and just fell off the back of the stage.
Right about now, Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, Funk Soul Brother.
I can remember the first time I heard Rockefeller Skank on the radio, and I didn't know who it was by, but I thought, that's a crazy record. I thought I was really impressed with the way it just like, I just thought it isn't really any sort of genre of dance music. It's sort of like breakbeaty, but it's got this sort of hip-hop sort of like vocal in it, and I thought, I just couldn't think who could have done it. I thought, who's done this track? And I asked somebody and said, oh, it's Norman Cook. And I thought, God, it was, and it's just like from a producer's point of view, some of the things he's done where everything slows right down and speeds right up. I mean, they're things that, you know, we could all think about doing, but they take quite a long time to actually put into practice. So it was a pretty impressive track.
Coming up in part 2, Ibiza 10 years on, and the stars have a good old rant.
And then there's this guy, the dreamer, champion of the Dream Club.
What are you drinking?
As usual. He drifts off with questions and wakes up with answers.
I've just had the weirdest dream.
It's a gift. Tonight's dream, the big question. The one we all ask. What's the meaning of life?
Elma, come on. You gotta go up. 2, 3, and 4.
Go on, you rascal. This is the Dream Club. Ladies and gentlemen, please charge your glasses.
Day after day, week after week, your dishwasher accumulates grease and limescale in hard-to-reach places. But Finish dishwasher cleaner, used once a month, effortlessly eliminates grease and lime scale. And a cleaner dishwasher means cleaner dishes. Finish dishwasher cleaner, our ultimate finish.
Sometimes I think you love football more than me.
Love, exciting and new. Come aboard.
Jason, do you love football more than me?
Watching or playing?
Physio sports, sport on the brain, sport on the body.
Designed to restore your va-va-voom. The new Renault Clio.
If you're going to smile, laugh and scream this much, let Colgate Whitening bring out the natural whiteness of your teeth. Create a sensation. Colgate Whitening.
Oh, hey, Graeme. So thanks a lot for coming on to do the show.
Oh, anything for you, handsome.
Right. I thought we'd start by asking you about your new autobiography, Sweet on the Inside.
And I'll tell you about the critics. They love it.
And then we'll talk about your upcoming movie.
I play myself. It's a great part.
I've got a big part for you.
In commercials? I don't think so.
Yeah, that'll kill your career.
Once again.
Heartburn can be a recurring nightmare. That's why we've developed Duo, to provide fast, long-lasting relief day or night. Duo starts soothing from the moment you take it, and then, to stop the heartburn coming back later, Duo gets tough on stomach acid, leaving you to sleep in peace. Duo, it keeps working, so you keep sleeping.
Welcome back to the Dance Years. It's 1998, and here's my number 7. A graduate of the Royal College of Music, West London Matthew Coleman, or MJ Cole, added a touch of soulful sophistication to the UK garage scene. Here's Be Sincere.
Just look what he's done for me. Baby, my eyes are on you. Feelings, don't do it. Be sincere. I'm crazy.
MJ Cole Sincere is again one of those tracks that was like nothing you'd ever heard. You think you'd heard it all, and then you'd hear MJ Cole Sincere. And Elizabeth Troy's hauntingly beautiful vocals right through to MJ's superb production, you know, makes this still a firm favourite in the Dodgers box.
Caress me. I want you tonight. I love you.
MJ Cole, a very distinctive sound, very smooth, and I think a lot of the kind of purists, both from house scene, drum and bass scenes, daytime radio scene, were able to tap into this very kind of smooth, articulate, intelligent sounding UK garage, and that was, you know, MJ Cole's angle. Not, it was intentional for him because he just likes making his tunes, but that was, you know, some of the reasons why it was well received by the masses, and why MJ Cole still to this day has kind of got that little, you know, push boy garage. Even though he's not, he's one of the most down-to-earth people on the scene that you're likely to meet, but he's just got that little tag that kind of follows him about whether he likes it or not. Cup of tea, sir.
Done for me. My eyes are on you.
I've been doing some warm-up DJing for this band on V2 called Tin Star, and I remember coming back in a cab with this incredibly gorgeous, sexy blonde girl who I was very obsessed with and feeling unbelievably hormonal. And I guess we were both a little bit mashed. And in the car, they were playing Sincere. It was on pirate radio, and it really was a pirate tune. And that whole moment, just driving along sort of the Westway, it's just like a sort of little filmy flashback. I'll never forget that.
Back in '88, 4 DJs travelled to Ibiza and brought back a dance culture. But 10 years on, how much had the island changed?
Originally, what appealed to a lot of people about Ibiza was it was very cosmopolitan, kind of European clubbers and forward-thinking people or whatever, all arriving together. And now you'll go to a lot of clubs and it will be 95% British.
I was never a big Ibiza fan. I don't really like sunny sea holidays. You know, it was great for a while, but I think it's just been, I don't know, it's too butlins for me. It's too crowded, it's too busy.
Ibiza's the best place in the world. It just, there's something about it that's just magic. I don't think anyone can explain it, but everyone says the same sort of things. It really is phenomenal.
The thing for me about Ibiza is it is an industry. You don't see like sort of cigarette brands or perfumes. It's just like, you know, you're hit in the face by all these club brands, which is incredible really when you think about it, you know, going into an island which is just saturated by the dance music industry.
It's become a recognized name in the clubbing world vocabulary. Ibiza is synonymous with big records and summertime. What's going to be the big fall thing?
Everyone paints this picture of this beautiful island. I mean, my own experiences is it's not. It's just a big mecca of everyone just going clubbing and going mad, and everyone's just packed in, and it's the sole reason of going clubbing. That's what it's all about. I mean, the beaches to me is like, I mean, who cares about the beaches? Who wants to get up and go to the beach? We were there every night just to get wrecked, and that's what it's all about.
People go on about Ibiza as being drugs this, drugs that, and hard house and the rest of it. Yeah, sure, it's there if you want it, you know. And San Antonio, that Ibiza uncovered, you know, just made such a hash of. I mean, it's a tiny place. It's 3 streets by 3 streets, and Ibiza's huge, and you don't even need to go to these places. But I'd gone there quite negatively, thinking this ain't going to be all that. But as an island, it was fantastic.
Stay away from San Antonio, where all the cheese is, and move around, and you're going to find some of the most amazing things. There's so many good clubs out there now, putting on really good quality underground, international DJs from all over the world, and great little spots, great after parties going on. And you know, if you go out there and spend any more than a week out there, and you look and you scratch below the surface, you're going to find one of these beautiful little parties for 200 people in a villa in the hills, and you're going to go, wow, this is the best party I've ever been to in my life.
One of the original trance anthems, Cafe Del Mar Energy 52, was re-released in '98, and it helped pave the way for the trance revolution that was to follow in '99. Here it is, it's my number 6.
Energy 52 was first released by the sort of seminal German trance label IQ back in 1993. It was very much part of this Hamburg and Berlin trance scene, as it's called. And then 95, 96, or about 95, the person who now owned the rights to the record had rung me up and told me he'd always known what a fan I was of it, and had told me that it was now available. We got it remixed by a guy called Sharam J, and that's where you end up with, you know, what we now know as Cafe. It's actually very different, quite different from the original one. It was the remix by Sharam J as 3-in-1 that kind of garnered all the attention. It'd be difficult to say that it started anything here or was that important in kicking off the trance scene in this country. But having said that, it kind of marked the beginning of the, you know, 3-year period, 3-4 year period, where sort of trance came to dominate mainstream British dance culture.
Cafe Del Mar will always remind me of my first trip to Ibiza, which was in '98, and there's so much hype surrounding the island, you know. And I was just wondering, do you have to be so off your head? Because I'm not really a massive drug taker. So I went there, and I just have some particular memories, of course, sexy women, but things like being in rooms with people who were so off it, and the whole atmosphere and euphoria of the island, it was very, very trippy. You didn't have to be on drugs. And Cafe Del Mar, named after the club, sums up that trip.
For some of today's biggest dance names, there's nothing they like better than a good old rant.
I think kind of like really fast dance records are for white boys who can't dance. You know, it's almost like the reverse of Irish dancing. You know, the way Irish dancers use their legs, or sort of white kids who can't dance use the top half of their bodies. And I just think that, you know, I think some fast records are great, but I think once you get too fast, you know, the bass lines become really galloping. A lot of it is very aggressive and quite soulless. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that bass is essential in dance music, and I think that, you know, you get to a certain level and it becomes a bit kind of fascist. Almost like, you know, we will have a good time. You know, it's just, I don't know, it doesn't appeal to me.
To me, it's like house is good. I don't need trance, I don't need tribal, I don't need tech, step, whatever. I just need house. I mean, if I put in categories, I put it into just mainly like 4 categories. All music and dance. There's only like 4 things. You got like R&B, hip hop, 5, reggae, house, jungle. That should be it, right? You know what I mean? There shouldn't be any more than that. There should be no other categories. When I go to Virgin, I don't want to see electronica. I just want to see house for everything.
There are a few things that I've seen that just, I think, need to change, and I kind of want to distance myself a little bit, because certain attitudes and certain things, just, you know, there's a lack of love in this scene distinctly, and I just think we need to get that back. If people were secure in their careers, they would probably be a bit more giving. I think where everybody is so, I've got to prove myself, I've got to do my thing, you know, I think it's a shame, do you know what I mean? This is a business. Gone are the days where we're illiterate to this being a business. Do you know what I mean? This is a full bona fide business now, and we need to tackle it professionally and courteously, and not when things go wrong, threaten to kill people and, you know, get dark. It's just not the way, and those sort of things just a bit late, really, for me.
My number 5 tune of the year comes from one of New York's most prolific DJs and producers, David Morales. This is probably his finest moment so far, Needing You.
It was a 2-year-old idea. So we're talking about something that was conceived in 1996. It was just an idea, which is really a sample of 2 old records from 1974. You know, they're 2 of my old classics that I sort of like loved, you know what I mean? And they just had different riffs in it that I liked. And one day, just playing around my studio, just taking 2 records that I like and just putting pieces of it on a tape. And I ran it off on an acetate, and I was playing in LA, and Moose T and Boris Douglas came up to me and said, "What is this record?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just something I put together." And they were like, "You got to release this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know, you know," because I never thought, okay, as stupid as it may sound, David Morales putting out a track. When I've worked with Mariah Carey, Seal, you understand what I'm saying? Ann Nesby, and I've created all these big major records that become monster, just vocal productions, Tony Braxton, and I'm doing this vocalist sample, you know, I couldn't see myself doing this. nobody would think that was a typical David Morales track, because they would just expect something a lot more classical, more traditional to what I based my reputation on. So when I came with something that was 130 BPM, this hard-hitting piano track, I mean, I was always known for always having great piano lines and riffs in my records. But here was, you know, this strong thing that just came at you like a truck, you know, and it was definitely great to see people really get off on it.
I think it has all the right energy, and it was the perfect track for that summer for Ibiza. And it's interesting how the industry, you know, being that the industry is now turned into DJ culture, and so much emphasis being put on that, you know, especially because of, you know, a summer resort like Ibiza. You know, it helped to give identity to the music of the island.
Although celebrity DJ producers like to rant, they often have a very good point.
Forget these compilations. Don't buy any of them. Just get rid of them. Get rid of them. Compilations are killing it. They're killing everything. They're killing the importance of the culture, because they're just smashing up all the hits together, and it's just, that's how the kids are digesting it. I'm saying nowadays, especially if I find somebody on the street that don't know much about house or dance or whatever, you know, and they kind of want to tap in, you know, what do they buy? Compilation. And what do they buy? A compilation. Because they don't, there's no artists around it. That was the early problems with hip-hop. And the early problems with hip-hop was it was all singles. If you look at hip-hop now, what is it now? It's all about albums.
I got this thing about these 2-hour sets that just rubs me the wrong way, you know, because you can't express yourself. There's just no way. Anybody can play 10 tunes in an hour. Anybody. You can't express yourself. You can't tell anybody anything. You can't deliver a message if you have to rush, you know? I'm accustomed to, you know, nobody's in the club yet. I turn on the system, put on the first record, volume's done, relax, you work your way, people come in, and you build yourself to an evening, you know. And you're on everybody, you're connected to the first person that comes into that club to the last person that leaves the club. Nobody's thinking about the continuity of the evening. They just want to sell the tickets. And you're not doing your audience any justice, because you're not really letting them hear the talent. How can you put Dave Morales, Carl Cox, Paul Oakenfold, Frankie Knuckles on the same night and give them only 2 hours each? What is that?
My number 4 track is a reworking of a classic hip-hop tune from 1983 by Run DMC. Top producer Jason Evans got hold of it, set it to a house beat, and created a new dance anthem. Here it is, It's Like That.
Of 2 songs.
Coming up after the break, my top 3 tunes of the year. Welcome back to the Dance Years and my top 3 tunes of 1998. Add 2 vocalists from Birmingham called Hot and Juicy to a German house producer, and what do you get? Borny, of course, an anthem all over the world. It's by Moose T, and it's my number 3.
My track Horny that I produced in to be honest, was like produced in 1997, and we brought it out as an instrumental in like autumn 97, and like, you know, like worked throughout the whole winter till the Miami conference, and then like people played it here in Miami, and it was so big as an instrumental that we decided to put a vocal on it. And I called it Horny because, you know, it contained like horn samples, and I was like, all right, you know, it's just a nice approach and stuff. And then later on when we put the lyrics on it, we kind of went like another way, and like, you know the meaning of horny, so, you know. And the hook line was my idea, so I said, you know, let's call it like, I'm horny, horny, horny. And my partner Errol Reynolds, which is like a Bromy man, he put the lyrics onto it, and the rest is history, I guess.
That look like you. I will keep searching on. This feeling's much too strong. My heart is ringing and I'm singing this song for you.
Horny absolutely reminds me of Ibiza and me being just horny, horny, horny. I loved it. It was such a wild song, and you just really just wanted to get to know men and get into the club and just have a whale of a time. I just remember dancing with my legs in the air and just going mental. I'm horny, 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 horny.
I'm horny, 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 horny. I have to say, it wasn't my favourite tune, but it was a very catchy tune, and again, it was played a lot on radio. Couldn't get away from it.
It was quite degrading for women because I know for a fact that they purposely didn't write it for it to be degrading, but it did that. When it used to be in the clubs, all these women used to go, I'm horny. And they used to start, you know, touching themselves up, and then the blokes used to think, yeah, nice one. And then they used to look at me, for example, and say, you know, are you horny, babe? And I used to be like, oh, please, get off. I used to walk off. And that wasn't a nice track for me. That was a bit awful.
With drugs playing a large part in the dance music scene, many started to question their long-term effects.
The long-term effects of ecstasy, we used to think that the most important thing would be depression, because ecstasy causes damage to serotonin terminals. A lot of this chemical is put out, and these terminals they just stop working. Now, it seems now that the first thing that is really being picked up in large numbers is memory. People's memory, their ability to function normally just goes off. And I think that's a big worry about ecstasy.
You meet a lot of people, especially promoting, who have been taking drugs for a long time, and it's a sad thing to see, really, because you see people that really aren't in control of themselves and in control of their minds.
One of the problems with ecstasy is that people really don't know what they're dealing with. Even if we give them all the accurate information that we have as drug services around what the drug may or may not be doing to you, there's really no evidence which we can give to people around what's likely to happen in the years to come if you're a long-term heavy ecstasy user.
As with other drugs such as LSD, ecstasy is also associated with flashbacks, and this involves reliving the bad times that someone might have had when high on the drug previously. This can happen a number of months after the acute drug taking, even when it's completely out of their system.
The point is that when you're young, you've got a lot of reserve, and even if you've damaged your serotonin terminals, you can keep going on your reserves. When you're a bit older, well then you don't have those reserves anymore. So I expect to see people with increasing depression and further memory problems.
There's so much misinformation about drugs, which you do worry for a lot of the people who do continually take drugs week in, week out. I think the real problem with drugs is you're not going to be able to stamp it out altogether. I think what the media needs to do is actually inform the young kids who really are just going out to take drugs, the dangers of doing it, and exactly what the dangers are.
Now it's time for the scariest video of the entire series of the dance years, Space Dust and Gin and Tonic. I suggest you hide behind the settee as the man with the leopard skin pants is about to make an appearance.
It's so obvious. You know, why has nobody ever thought of putting an aerobic workout over like a house record? And it was just such a fantastic idea. And obviously, you know, it was played everywhere. Every DJ played it, and the record went to #1, and rightly so.
Stand with your feet parallel, a little more than hip distance apart. Your stomach pulled in, your weight slightly forward. Keeping that posture, and reach. 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, back. 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, reach. 2, 3, 2, 3,
What happened with the Space Dust Gin and Tonic is Bob Sinclair on his first LP did a track called Gin Tonic, and it was done with a guy, Thomas Ballinger from Daft Punk, and due to some sort of contractual problem between them, it couldn't come out as a single, so it was just on his album. So I mean, his album was selling like loads and loads of copies because it had this one track on that everyone was playing, and it was massive in Ibiza. And this guy called Paul Glancy, who'd done a sort of like copycat bootleg of Stardust, thought, well, hang on a minute, why don't I just do a copy of his song and put it out? You know, and basically, because I can put my one out as a single, he just sampled the Jane Fonda Back 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 from a sort of a workout album she'd made in the late 70s, and copied the original music from the Bob Sinclair thing, and he actually had the hit with it. So it wasn't really a very fair situation. So I think there was quite a few people got quite annoyed about it, but he was the one who actually had the hit single.
Space Dust Gin and Tonic was one of the tunes that actually put the Winter Music Conference back on the map for a lot of English people that didn't really realise it. It was broke at the Winter Music Conference. I think it had done the rounds in Ibiza before that. And the production on it was gorgeous. It had a nice little hook to pull you in, and it kept you there. And I think because of it, because it was broken at the same time as other tunes like Needing You by Morales, I think that Needing You and Gin and Tonic actually did summarise that year for me. They were tunes wherever you go, you'd hear them, be it a commercial club or be it an underground club. They were just always there.
He helped create Speed Garage, took Tori Amos to the top of the charts, and made facial hair fashionable. Or maybe not. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Armand van Helden.
The first time I actually met Armand van Helden, I just didn't click. I think it was a Whitney Houston party over here, and I'm standing there with the head of my record company, and there's this guy walked over and he introduced me to him, and I said, oh, hi, and I didn't catch the name. Said, yeah, you doing cool? And he walked away and said, who's the Ali G wannabe? And he was just, you know, in the beanie hat and the glasses, and I thought it was just someone taking a piss. But then I suddenly looked at him again and thought, oh yeah, that's Armand van Helden.
When it comes to making hits, I could care less. You know? I mean, I explain it to people in an analogy. It's like going fishing or painting. If you ask a fisherman or a painter, what is it they like about it? They like fishing and painting. You know, that's what they like. They don't care if you don't like the painting. They paint it for them. They paint because they enjoy that moment, that time spent. It's the same thing with me in the studio. I enjoy what I do regardless. You know, how the public likes it or they don't like it, to me, is, I don't care. I'm still a kid when it comes to music. I mean, I'll always, till the day I die. If somebody's older than me, you know, 5, 10 years, I don't care what it is, I am in so much respect of what they know. If they tell me about how it used to be, I'm so fascinated by that. I'm big on history. I'm just a big history buff. And when people tell me about clubs, music, and stuff, and how, like, the feeling of what was then, I listen and I respect. And I think all kids, all youth out there should. You know, when somebody's going to explain to you how things used to be, and you know, the stories. You know what I mean? I just sit there, I'm just fascinated. You know, people talk about old clubs back in New York in the 70s, and I mean, it's ridiculous. You think now is dope, this is a joke. You know, it's like, it was amazing back then.
Armand is not the sort of the producer that I would like think, yeah, wicked. But he's done some good remixes here and there, and there's been a few tunes that have actually made it into my box. Spin Spin Sugar, brilliant. What a remix, really dark, haunting, you know. So there's a couple of bits and pieces in there, and Armand is a very talented man, and he will produce things that will cross over.
His DJ sets vary all the way from hip-hop through to pumping house. I think his eclectic taste in music has, with a large slice of populism, has proved very popular in the past, and although he may not currently be in vogue as much as he was, say, a couple of years ago, again, he'll be back because he's a man with talent, undoubtedly.
My number one track is French disco house at its best. This tune really deserves its anthem status. Here it is, Stardust, and music sounds better with you.
Now this is where Daft Punk do their sneaky and don't try and tell anybody about it and make what they would obviously consider to be a commercial record, Stardust. The music sounds better with you. The best used sample, the way how they made Chaka Khan sound like that with a disco loop, and for it to be so simple and so effective, I don't know. But then that is what you get when you have fantastic producers. Another record that stormed the Winter Music Conference like madly, you know, on the beach, parties by the pool, in the clubs. That record was just the lick. It was huge, hence #1 record. But they ain't gonna do it again, are they? They're just gonna tease us with that one. Daft Punk for you. Daftness.
That Stardust record was incredible. It was just such a simple, infectious hook that I think did change a lot of people's philosophies. You know, I mean, when the Stardust record came out, there were so many other records that came out after that, the same ilk, like our friends Fats and Small.
Definitely.
On the producer's angle, the chord progression is exactly the same as the Stardust thing.
In 1998, I went with a couple of friends on a package holiday to a Spanish resort, which I won't name because I would feel too ashamed to admit to have been there for a holiday. But nonetheless, the big tune was Stardust, Music Sounds Better With You. And it wasn't really my cup of tea because it was a little bit cheesy, even though it was Tom Spangle, so it was on the Roulette label. So all the right things were there for me to like it because that's, you know, that's a good pedigree to come from. But it was a bit too chart-worthy, a bit too cheesy. But sure enough, after a few of those free-poured drinks that the Spanish are very keen to hand out, it sounded brilliant, and we spent 10 days grooving to Music Sounds Better With You, and it still is a great record that I'm happy to hear anytime.
Well, that's all for this week on the Dance Shears. Next week we'll be looking at 1999, the year that trance music conquered the world. I'll see you then.